Hi, I'm Willie. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. In this video, what we're going to talk about and what we're going to do is set up for our Omada 30-day challenge, which is going to take me a little bit more than 30 days because every time I talk about TP-Link Omada or TP-Link in general, I get a lot of comments popping up saying, hey, TP-Link's sending everything to China. All your data is going to China, or it's calling home to China, or all this other stuff. So when I first said that I would get into this TP-Link Omada, or Omada by TP-Link challenge, Omada saw what I was using for Ubiquity back here, and they sent me the equivalent. So I thought, you know what? Let's do this challenge, which we're gonna do. So it'll replace all of my home networking gear with Omada. But I thought before we do that, let's set this stuff up in the rack back here. Let's plug it into the Ubiquity, which is the Ubiquity's upstream is actually a grand stream. So I'm going to have to relax some of the security rules on the grand stream. And we're going to let the Ubiquity gear back here do country blocking and do IDS, IPS. And I'm going to move a certain amount of clients behind Omada, and we're going to see if the Omada gear is really calling home to China, or if it is, reaching out to places outside of the United States. IDS, IPS will give us an idea of what could be going on because we're going to be watching it, from the Ubiquity gear, right? So the hardware that I'm using to do this is the Omada BE5000, which is they call it the wall plate. It's an in-wall access point. I am going to be using the BE5000, which is their ceiling or wall mounted Wi-Fi 7 AP. You can see they've shrunk the size of these. The original APs, if you remember those, they were bigger than this box completely. The controller we are going to use is going to be their hardware controller. And this is the model OC300, which gives us up to 500 Omada access points, 100 switches, and 100 gateways. We can manage all of those devices with this, so we don't need a dedicated server. We don't need to use the cloud. We can host everything right with this controller. The next piece of hardware that we've got is their VPN router with 10 gig ports. So this thing has a quad core CPU, two 10 gig SFP plus ports with 1 gigabit SFP port and 8 gigabit RJ45 ports. It will do SSL, IPsec, PPTP, L2TP VPN, and OpenVPN. Has dual redundant power supplies and is rack mountable. This thing's a beast. I'm gonna pause this and take this stuff out of the box and show you before I get it mounted, and before we really dig into pricing, before we really get too far into the weeds. We're gonna hook it up and we're gonna watch it for a minimum of a week, and we're gonna see what kind of data this thing, if any, Omada is trying to send out of our network, so we can feel good about putting this in not only my network, but we do have customers that run Omada. So let's get to the bottom of this. And if for some reason we feel like putting it behind the Ubiquity gear is not enough, we can obviously do some mirrored ports and do, raw captures and analyze those. And then the last thing, this thing's heavy, that they sent for this is the Omada 24 port 2.5 gig switch. This is the SG3428XPP-M2. So you've got 500 watts of PoE, 200 gigs of switching capacity. It's got 4 10 gig SFP plus slots, 16 2.5 gig PoE plus, and 8 2.5 gig PoE plus plus ports. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put this in the rack. I'm going to then I'll take a picture of what it looks like, because it's all just going to sit there, and we'll connect some things to it. The PC I'm recording this on, I will reroute all of my traffic for this to go out behind that. And we're going to see what's going on. If it passes the sniff test, we're going to throw it into production and get into that 30-day Omada challenge. So I'm not going to go over a lot of the software configuration, because if we show that this isn't sending data or doing anything crazy, then I'm going to factory default everything, and we're going to do a video that is step-by-step setup of how it's going to go and how it's going to replace the current gear. So I'm going to get this all mounted up. I'm going to do a quick configuration. I will show you that, how it's all put together. I'll show you how it's wired, and we will start the clock on watching this to see if it's sending data or trying to do weird things on the network, so that we can all make a judgment on this. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. All right, so I've got everything physically hooked up. We'll talk about that in a second, but I wanted to show you this. So when I went to log into the TP-Link router, you have to set a username and password. And right here, there's allow data collection. I'm going to go ahead and enable that so that we can see where any of that data may be being sent to. So I am going to allow that, and then I'm going to confirm. It's saved. I'm going to get logged in here. Now, what I don't know is by default if the TP-Link is on the 192.168.0 network, excuse me, or if it was smart enough to go ahead and see what its WAN was supposed to be. But according to this, and I'm thinking that might be the case, because it is plugged into, I only have my UDM SE turned on at the moment because it gets hot in here, it gets loud, and this is what we're testing. So it appears that the WAN did get this. It then configured 192.168.0 for the LAN. So now what I need to do here is I need to find the IP of the OC300, which is right here, 0.100. So we're going to log into that real quick and get this controller configured, throw a quick configuration on here. Then we're going to actually, before we do any of that, what we're going to do, before we do anything else with Omada, we're going to come over here to our Unify. We're going to go to settings. We're going to go to cyber secure. And what I'm going to do here is I am actually only going to allow the United States. So I'm doing region blocking on this. Encrypted DNS off. Yeah, for giggles, let's create a honeypot on here, and we'll make it like 254. Must be outside of my DHCP range. Let me cancel that real quick. And we'll have to come back to that. We're going to go to main 1.1. So we're handing out 1.6, but do I have anything configured as a static? It doesn't look like it. So we could go ahead and use 1.2. So we're going to go to cyber secure. We're going to get rid of this. We're going to say allow, select, and we're going to say United States only. Now, a lot of this is dependent, obviously, on how quick the IP lists get updated. We're going to go ahead and create this honeypot on 1.2. We're going to identify devices and traffic. Now, of course, the TP-Link router is going to do NAT. So at the moment, all we care about is where is the router itself, because everything has to go through the TP-Link router. Where is that going? Looks like we just had our signature updates for our IDS IPS, and I'm going to do notify and block. I am going to, I've got 5 of 5. Let's see. We're going to do ICMP there, and we're going to do online games there. So everything is turned on. We can come in here, we can look at it, we can see exactly what's going on. So this is kind of our base setup to start gathering information. And of course, we can see the data flow and things like that. So right now it is reconfiguring the UDM to have, and you know what? We had content filtering on for the guests. We'll throw on that quick content filtering for the main, and we'll reapply that. All right, so let's look at our topology so you kind of understand how this is plugged in. It's interesting, is it seeing that? So it's seeing the TP link as a link sys, which is interesting. Must have something to do with the MAC addresses. But we've got our ISP coming into the lab SE, and then from there we are going to Omada. So let's see here real quick. Let's look at the internet traffic. So it looks like it's identifying a flow here, possibly. So you can see all of these things that are apparently being sent out from this linksys router. Why is it IPs? So it looks like, interesting. We're definitely going to have to, it looks like there's a lot of UI flows, but literally the only thing plugged in is my lab SE and that. So everything is low here. Top client, linksys router. And it looks like everything is US so far, except for there was something heading for Sweden that got blocked. So I'm not sure if that's Ubiquiti or if that is the TP link, but then let's go to clients. And so 1.231, let's look at our status again here. So it is definitely seeing the TP link for some reason. It's got to have something to do with MAC addresses, right? So if we go to this and we go back to the flow, you can see so far everything is looking to be, except for that one, Sweden. Not sure what that was. Looks like something tried to send to Southeast Amazon. So we're going to see. We'll see if this stuff works correctly. We'll see how many of these hits we get in here. Like I said, my PC that I'm recording this on is going to stay hooked up to this, and I'm going to do business as usual through here unless I see something that's like totally alarming. So let's go ahead and finish the rest of this setup real quick. Network, LAN, client list, so 0.100. All right, so here is our Omada controller. We're going to agree to cookies. We're going to say, let's get started. I am just going to use some lab credentials here. And I'm not going to bind it to the Omada cloud. So we're trying to do like an out-of-the-box experience on this. We're going to do a new config setup on our controller. This is going to be called Omada 30-day challenge testing. So we'll rename it if we get to the 30-day challenge. And we're going to join the user experience program right there. That should definitely be sending some data. Next, site, Lily Lab. Switch type, choose your switch types. We'll say we got all switch types. We don't know if it's going to work or not. We're going to set our device account, which will just be the same as our controller for now. We are going to say that this is going to be, oh, that's interesting, 10 to 64 characters. Cannot use, So we're just going to say A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, exclamation point. Username and password should not be the same. Yes. Passwords must be, so I need an uppercase, a lowercase. Does this take care of it? Maybe. It looks like it did it. All right, we're going to choose Office for this. We're going to go next. We're going to go ahead and configure all of these devices. We're not going to do anything to override the WAN. Wi-Fi is going to be Omada test. And I'm just going to make a very simple password for this. You can probably guess what it is. And let's do guest Wi-Fi, and it's going to be Omada guest. Next, successful. We got one gateway, one switch, one EAP. We're going to hit finish there. At this point, I should be able to just close out of this for now. And we're going to go ahead and log into our Omada controller. And it's going to give us this overview. We'll see more of this once I've factory defaulted if we get there. Got our EAPs. So let's take a look at our devices here. It says it's connected. We've got a locate option. It's not giving me an option for the firmware at this moment. So I'll have to, figure out if that's actually the latest firmware. Let's see here. Upgrades. So it looks like they do have some firmware in 1.0.6 and one for the EAP, and then 1.20.11 for the switch. So let's go back and see what those are. So it looks like they are upgraded to the latest firmware already. That's good. So we've got our site here. We're going to do much more in depth on this if we get past the 30-day challenge. So devices are here, and for some reason the adopt on the router failed, and I think I know why that failed. It's because I had already changed the username and password on that. So let's go ahead and hit adopt with good known credentials, and we'll see what happens here. So because it should give us the option. So now here we are now connected. It's provisioning and connected. There's some really neat things in Omada that we want to talk about, assuming that we don't discover anything that is going to tell us that we shouldn't be using Omada. So it looks like we are taking our configuration from our gateway, which should be fine. Everything's just out of the box default here. Here's our we can't get a device map that way. We can do, it looks like we can do a heat map. Okay, so they got a planner in here. We got network tools here, and telerecover monitors the status of PoE devices, automatically repairing abnormal devices. So like I said, there's a lot of things we got to look at, but we're going to have to monitor this for a minimum of a week. Make sure that we're all feeling comfortable with it. So I'm going to be using it on the daily, and my recording gear's right here. So if I see anything that I need to record to give a, as we go on throughout the week, the 2 weeks, whatever it is, because if we see something crazy, we're definitely going to watch it longer. So let's go back over here and let's see all of our flows here for this. I don't see anything that says suspicious or concerning. So we'll see. The other thing we can look at here is we can look at, so all the traffic logs are in the flows, but I am looking for intrusion prevention and honeypot. And I don't have anything there yet. But we go back to our flows. Unify has been making tons of changes too to the UI. So we had it filtered so that we were only seeing the flow for. This is not. Let me configure this. We're actually going to call this Omada network. Apply changes. So now if we go to clients, now we see Omada. Okay, so we're going to be watching this. Like I said, oh, hey, after a minute, it built the map. And here it is. So like I said, my PC is plugged into this, got stuff going out. So I guarantee you that some of the stuff on that flow, I forgot about that, is I have this is a Windows machine, right? So we're going to see some of those flows in there as well. So yeah, stay tuned. There's a lot of stuff to talk about here. We are going to be watching this. I'm going to be sending my traffic through it. So if you think of anything else that you want to see while we're watching this, let me know down below and I'll add that to the list as we go. Otherwise, if I get some sort of a deal breaker right away, I'll be making a video about that. Otherwise, we'll be following up on this. And like I said, if you think I need to test other ways besides what I'm testing, let me know down below and I'll see if I can do that with the equipment that I have. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, and share. Follow me on Twitter and TikTok. Those links are down below, along with affiliate links, a Patreon link. And if you need IT consulting, head on over to williehowe.com, fill out the contact form, and someone will be in touch with you as soon as possible. Come on over to community.williehowe.com and speculate about how you think us monitoring the Omada equipment for suspicious activity is going to turn out. I could guess, but we're gonna run it and we're gonna see what happens. Once again, I'm Willie. I'll see you in the next video.